Hello and welcome to This Week in Dearborn. I'm Mayor Jack O'Reilly and I'm here with David Dubensky, and we're going to talk about some very exciting things happening in our town. And of course, he's the person that's shepherding it. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
You having a good time? You came in and had all this right in front of you. How's it going?
It's going really well. And as you know, I came in January, replacing Donna Inch as chairman of Ford Land, and it's a really exciting time to be chairman of Ford Land. Right. We've got so much going on. You know, of course, we've got the campus transformation project that gets sort of bigger every month. We've got Wagner Place and a variety of other projects. So having a wonderful time so far.
Well, you're on a global scale too, so people out there watching may not realize this, but in addition to what you're doing here, obviously you're managing all of the properties that Ford has around the world.
Absolutely. Yeah, we Ford Land is a global organization. We've got offices in Europe that support our European operation. We got other offices in Asia Pacific supporting operations there, and South American offices as well. And Dearborn is our home, and it's our largest campus transformation project. As you know, we've got two primary campuses in Dearborn. We've got the World Headquarter campus, which is about 240 acres, and then we've got the Research and Engineering campus that's about 600 acres. Right. So our plan over the next 10 years is to take about 30,000 employees that we've got working in and around Dearborn and to consolidate them on those two primary campuses. Wow. And those campuses haven't been touched for probably 50, 60 years. Yeah. And so the infrastructure, the buildings are in need of dire repair. And so we're going to be taking buildings down, refurbishing buildings, redoing infrastructure that supports the buildings. And we're going to be setting up space that's conducive for the kind of talent that we're trying to attract to our campus here.
You're preparing the Ford people to be in environments where they're going to be looking well beyond just the automobile.
Yeah, we're thinking about mobility in general, right, and how people will move in the future. And that's our challenge, right? It's not just about making and engineering and producing automobiles, but it's thinking about how people will move from point A to point B in the future. And the car will be part of that process, but there will be other parts of that process as well. And I think through our mobility orientation now, we want to participate in more than just the vehicle itself. In our campuses, they're going to have multimodal transportation. So picture a campus where you might be able to get into an autonomous vehicle and move from one end to the other, or move from the World Headquarter campus to the R&E campus through some autonomous vehicle network. Picture bicycles and walking paths, and just anything you possibly can imagine is sort of what we're thinking about for the campuses.
Well, and then of course we know Bill Ford is very committed to the environment. And when he redid the Rouge plant, which was extraordinary, it became the most friendly, environmentally friendly manufacturing facility in the world. So I'm sure that there's also that element that you're looking at. You're going to make sure that as you build this new facility or remodel it, that environment is a big issue.
Oh, absolutely. Every building on our campus, the target for each building on the campus, minimum, is LEED Gold. We have one showpiece building that right now we're targeting it to be a living building, which is the highest standard in LEED. And essentially that is a self-sustaining kind of building. That's what we're targeting right now. That would be a learning and development center and something that would be sort of the focal point of the campus.
And again, that's something that's really characteristic of Ford that we in town are very proud of, is that their commitment to the environment is real. So now we're looking at it. So we've got this facility, and as you said, you've got to figure out how to get people from here to there. You're going to have a lot of natural. You're going to restore or create some natural space in the campus. So what's that going to look like? What are we looking at in that?
Well, I don't know if you've seen the corner of Southfield and Hubbard recently, but we're doing a sort of a test project there.
Oh, okay.
And we've got a pond there, or a retaining pond, or detention pond, I think it's technically called. We've got increased pathways through there. We've got increased forestation. It's all dirt right now, but in the spring you'll see a prairie grass coming up. So that's the kind of sustainable kind of landscape we're thinking about for the new campus as well. So we don't want miles and miles of turf grass that we just have to mow. We want something that's sustainable, that in areas that our employees can actually use for health and fitness. and something that looks really good as well.
Yeah. Well, it's nice because, I mean, your employees always could go around there, but this is going to be much more functional. And of course, you know, that's a great asset. And I know we're working with you on looking at, you know, having a trail that kind of goes around and continues back around, so it'll be integrated with some of that. And that's really nice because the community then will have a way of also being able to access a longer path to go for their trip. So I appreciate that you're letting us kind of share with you in a sense the outer part. So and that's the other thing. Those of us are used to it. Most people wouldn't know their way around, you know, the internal space, but they certainly know the glass house, which is right behind us, and so that's going to go through a transformation also.
Absolutely. So right now, our plans are to renovate that completely. So that's an iconic structure. It's been there for a long time. It sort of sits there at the corner of Michigan Avenue in Southfield, and
Yeah.
it's got a great presence.
Yeah.
And so our present thinking on that building is a complete renovation.
Right.
So it gets all new glass. We gut every floor. It gets new mechanicals, and it'll be a completely refreshed new building.
And then something very exciting to Dearborn and people in Dearborn is the fact that you've gone and purchased some property to have a presence in our business district. So why don't we talk about how you got there and what does that mean?
Well, I think that is really a neat project. And in fact, I was just having lunch at Buddy's right across the street down
yes.
there and drove by it. And it's doing. I mean, it's on schedule, on budget. The steel work is complete. We're enclosing it as we speak.
Yeah.
And in November, we'll start with the roofing structure on the building. So we're still on target for a summer 2018 opening. In conjunction with the city and with you, this was a project that I think we collectively thought would benefit not just Ford but the community. And so we did acquire just under 4 acres of land. I believe it was 12 different parcels. Right. We put all that together and we came up with the Wagner Place project.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and it's going to be, for people who don't know, obviously the upper level is levels will be occupied by Ford employees and so on. And then the lower part will be, which is really wonderful, a mix of different kinds of uses that are commercial in nature. So how's that balance and how's it going?
It's, again, terrific. So we've got 150,000 square feet, 3 floors, and as you've indicated, the top 2 are 600 Ford employees. And so we've got a group we call them GDIA, it's our Global Data Insights and Analytics team that's actually going to occupy that space. And on the first floor, with our broker Mid-America, we're out seeking tenants. And the response so far is quite good. So I think we're going to be in a position, we don't have any announcements just yet, but I think we're going to be in a position to get the right balance of coffee shops or restaurants or workout facilities or offices, retail kind of shops on that first floor. Yeah. And so far we're very pleased with what we're seeing. So I think probably, you know, I'm not sure exactly when, but maybe the next several months we'll be in a position to make some announcements on who we're signing up for that first floor.
Yeah. That's going to be great because it just enhances, and it, you know, we know that when you attract, I mean, if you attract more customers from further away, then that's going to create opportunities, and you'll have new investors and people coming in because they want to, you know, because there is the capacity then to really make it work. And you were at the event that the chamber had, and we supported, and you supported, and you know, trying to reach out to people who are consulting with businesses about where to go and, you know, what type of project might work in different places. And I was surprised how many people, we had a large number of people who had not been to Dearborn, had no idea, and yet they're telling people where the best sites are. And I think I'll let you give your impression of how that went.
No, I think it went really well. You know, it's interesting when we try to attract people that aren't from Dearborn, they don't really understand everything that's going on here, right? And so I personally have been out and meeting with a couple restaurateurs in particular that we're trying to attract down there, and we tell them about all the cool things happening in Dearborn. We talk about the Ford presence in Dearborn. We talk about how many people are here during the day. we actually bring them down to visit other shops and restaurants in Dearborn. And in the end, they see Dearborn in an entirely different way. And so I think it's been an interesting journey, because I thought we would sort of put our for rent sign up and everyone would come. And that's happened, but to go recruit those that aren't familiar requires a little bit of extra effort on our part to go show everything that's going on. And once we do that, they come.
Well, the Henry Ford Garage was a great example. I know when Ford first reached out to them in Florida and wanted them to come here, they came up, did their due diligence, and said, no, it won't work there. And we knew what they were saying is the way that they traditionally look at data and the way they look at income and so on and so forth, it didn't seem to make sense for them. And yet, obviously, Ford was a little, said, no, I think you got to try. And now they're so thrilled because they said it exceeds their expectation, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it really does.
Absolutely. I think if you talk to them now, they're just blown away with the support that they've got from the community. And in fact, even now, there's still waits over there from lunch to dinner time, and they just couldn't be happier.
Yeah, they just said it's high performance. It's one of it's the highest performer they have. And
absolutely. But you're right. It takes that introduction. It takes some education on what's actually happening here and how cool of a place this really is. And once you do that, they've come and they've done great. And I expect the same with the other shops and restaurants that we're recruiting.
I just can't thank you enough for your coming on, particularly so people get a better sense of what's going on, global overall, and then of course just for your creative mind, because I've seen you in action where you're thinking ahead of the game in terms of what do we have to do, how do we get there, and I think that kind of leadership is going to make a great difference for our community, and so we're glad to have you aboard.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor, and thank you for your continued support and
Yeah.
everything you do for us. It's a great partnership that we have, so thank you very much.
Thank you.